"This is a story about you," said the man on the radio, "and you were pleased, because you always wanted to hear about yourself on the radio. Welcome to Night Vale." This is a story about you. You live in a trailer out near the car lot next to old woman Josie's house. Occasionally, she'll wave at you on her way out to get the mail or more snacks for the angels. Occasionally, you'll wave back. You're not a terrible neighbor as far as it goes. At night, you can see the red light blinking on and off on top of the radio tower, a tiny flurry of human activity against the implacable backdrop of stars and void. You'll sit out on the steps of your trailer with your back to the brightness of the car lot, watching the radio tower for hours, but only sometimes. Mostly, you do other things. This story is about you. You didn't always live in Night Vale. You lived somewhere else, where there were more trees, more water. You wrote direct mail campaigns for companies selling their products. "Dear resident," you wrote often. "Finally, some good news in this dreary world. At last, a reason not to kill yourself." Then you would delete that and write something else, and it would be sent out, and it would not be read by anyone. You had a friend, and then a girlfriend, and then a fiancé. The same person. She cooked dinner sometimes, but sometimes you cooked. You often touched. One day you were walking from the glass box of your office to your old Ford Probe, and a vision came to you. You saw above you a planet of awesome size, lit by no sun. An invisible titan, all thick black forests and jagged mountains and deep, turbulent oceans. It was so far away, so desolate, and so impossibly, terrifyingly dark. And that day, you did not go home. You drove instead. You drove a long time, and eventually you ended up in Night Vale, and you stopped driving. You have been haunted ever since by how easy it was to walk away from your life, and how few the repercussions were. You never heard from your fiancé or your job again. They never looked for you, which doesn't seem likely, or maybe it's that in Night Vale you cannot be found. The complete freedom, the lack of consequence. It terrifies you. You have a new job now. Every day except Sunday you drive out into the sand wastes, and there you find 2 trucks. You move wooden crates from one truck to the other, while a man in a suit silently watches. It is a different man each time. Sometimes the crates tick. Mostly they do not. When you are done, the man in the suit hands you an amount of cash, also different each time, and you go home. It is the best job you've ever had. Except today, it was different. You moved the crates. The man in the suit, a stranger, watched. But then, as had never happened before, the man in the suit received a phone call. He walked off at some distance to take it. "Yes, sir," he said, and "No, sir." Also, he made hawk shrieking sounds. It wasn't terribly interesting. You moved crates. But then an awful impulse came over you. And for no other reason than that you are trapped by the freedom to do anything in this life, you took one of the crates and put it in your trunk. By the time the man came back from his phone call, you were done with your job. He gave you the money. It was nearly $500 today, the second highest it had ever been, and you drove home with the crate in your trunk. When you got home, you took the crate into your trailer and left it in the kitchen. The crate did not make a ticking sound. It made no sound at all. Nothing made a sound except you, breathing in and breathing out. You cooked dinner. You always cooked dinner. The red light on the tower blinked on and off in your peripheral vision, a message that was there and then wasn't, and that you could never quite read. You wondered how long it would take them to miss the crate. You did not wonder who they were. Some mysteries aren't questions to be answered, but just a kind of opaque fact, a thing which exists to be not known. Which brings us to now, to this story about you. You are listening to the radio. The announcer is talking about you. And then you hear something else, a guttural howl out of the desert distance, and you know that the crate's absence has been discovered. The crate. Well, it sits. That's all. On the kitchen floor. That's all. It's warm, warmer than the air around it. It smells sharp and earthy, like freshly ground cinnamon. And when you put your ear against the rough, warm wood, you hear a soft humming, an indistinct melody. It does not appear to be difficult to open. All you would need to do is remove a few nails. You do not open it. You decide, instead, to go to the Moonlight All-Night Diner and have a slice of pie. The wind is hot, like always, and smells like honey and mud. Night is your favorite time. Daylight brings only a chain of visual sensations, none of which cohere into meaning for you anymore. Life has become out of focus, free of consequence. As you drive, you turn off the headlights for a moment. In that moment, you feel again, above you, not even far away now, that planet of awesome size lit by no sun. An invisible titan, all thick black forests and jagged mountains and deep, turbulent oceans. You see nothing but the faint moonlight on your dashboard, but you know the planet is out there, yawning in the unseen spaces. The moment passes. You turn your headlights back on, and all you see is a road. Just asphalt. Just that. And you pass a man waving semaphore flags, indicating that the speed limit for this stretch is 45. The Moonlight All-Night is radiant green, a slab of mint light in the warm darkness. You squint when you see it, like it hurts your eyes, but it does not hurt your eyes. You park near the front door. A man rolls by on the ground, his eyes bleary and sightless, whispering the word mudwomb over and over. But you don't have the money to tip him, so you go inside. You order a slice of strawberry pie, and the waitress indicates through words and movements that it will be brought to you presently. The radio speaks soothingly to you from staticky speakers set into a foam tile ceiling. It is telling a story about you, your story, at last. a man slides into the booth across from you. You recognize him vaguely, although he looks considerably different now. It is that man who appeared to be of Slavic origin, but who dressed in an absurd caricature of an Indian chief and called himself the Apache Tracker. Except now, it's difficult for you to miss. He has actually transformed into a Native American. You wonder if the pie will get there soon. The Apache Tracker smells of potting soil and sweat. He leans across the table and touches your hand lightly. You do not pull the hand away, because you know that there will be no consequence for any of this. Vivos post nostie, he says. Oni idiot. You nod. He taps the table. Then, bringing his thick eyebrows together and pursing his lips, he leans down and taps the ground. You nod again. I think my pie is here now, you say unnecessarily, as the pie is quite visibly placed in front of you. You did not order invisible pie. You hate invisible pie. He looks at the pie for a long time, and then lets his breath hiss out slowly through his nose. Oni pridyut snizu, pirogi nipom ogut. He leaves. What an asshole that guy is. You finish the pie and ask for the check. Check, please, you say, whispering it into your drinking glass as is custom, and then lifting the tray of sugar packets to find it, filled out and ready to be paid. You drop a few dollars onto the check, place it back under the sugars, wait for the sound of swallowing, and leave the diner. The waitress nods as you leave, but not at you. She nods slowly and rhythmically, to music only she can hear, her eyes riding the curved line of neon lights above the menu. As you start the car, the man on the radio says something about the weather.
Where Thank you.
The crate is in your kitchen, where you left it, and you get down on your knees to embrace it more fully. It has grown warmer, even hot. It still is not ticking. It had taken you no time to get back home. Now that you think about it, were there any other cars on the road? Where did all the cars go? The man with the semaphore flags explaining the speed limit, he wasn't there either. Your heart pounds. Without allowing another stray thought to wander through your mind and delay you, you grab the crate and throw it in your trunk. You turn the ignition and your car radio comes alive with a pop, just as the announcer says that your car radio comes alive with a pop. Where to now? You don't know, but you go there anyway. A pair of headlights, a pair of eyes, and two shaky hands speeding through the silent town. Behind you, you see helicopter searchlights sweeping down onto your trailer. There are sirens. A purplish cloud hangs over the town, glittering occasionally as it rotates. The whole works. You drive past the moonlight all night, still aglow and full of people slowly eating what sounds good only late at night, and Teddy Williams' Desert Flower Bowling Alley and Arcade Fun Complex, which has taken to not only locking but barricading its doors at closing time. You pass by City Hall, which, as always, is completely shrouded after dark in black velvet. Moving farther out, following the pull of the distant, uncertain moon, you pass by the car lot, where the salesmen have been put away for the night, and old woman Josie's house, where the only sign that the unassuming little home could be a place of residence for angels is the bright halo of heavenly light surrounding it, and the sign out front that says, Angels Residence. And the town is behind you, and you are out in the scrublands and the sand wastes. By the road you see a man holding a cactus in one hand and a pair of scissors in the other. He shakes both at you as you pass and howls. And then you are alone. Just you and the desert. You stop the car and get out. Pebbles crunch in the sand in response to your movement. The radio murmurs behind the closed doors of the car. The headlights illuminate only a few stray plants and the wide, dumb eyes of some nocturnal animal. Looking back, you see the bulge of light that is your Night Vale. The purple cloud, now floating over the heart of the city, reaches its tendrils in and out of buildings. You hear screams and gunfire. You open the trunk and lay one hand on the crate. It pulses with some kind of life. Still no ticking, though. You look back. Several buildings are on fire. Crowds of people are floating in the air, held aloft by beams of light, and struggling feebly against power they cannot begin to understand. The ground shifts like it was startled. It's so quiet when it finally comes. You see the black car long before it arrives. It comes to a halt nearby and two men step out. You don't run. Neither do they. How did you find me? You ask. Everything you do is being broadcast on the radio for some reason. That made it pretty easy, says one of the men, the one that isn't tall. Yeah, you say. I see that now. You have the item? The man who is not tall asks. You say nothing. The man who is not tall signals the man who is not short, and he walks past you, looks into your trunk, and nods. Even easier, says the man who is not tall. There is an unexpected click. One of the rear doors of the black car has opened, and your fiancée has stepped out. Her eyes are wet, like it was the night you left. She does not appear to have aged, but then you can't actually remember how long it has been. Could it have been last week? Or was it 10 years ago? Why? She says. Why? Why? You don't know what to say. The man who is not short steps up to you, puts a knife against your throat. Nobody says anything. Your fiancée shakes her head. Her eyes are empty, broken, gushing. The radio is saying all of this as it happens. You hear it dimly through the car door. You can't stop smiling. All at once, the consequences. All at once, you are no longer free. It's all coming back around, all at once. Life, bleary, washed out, snaps back into focus. The red light on the tower still blinks in the distance, and every message in this world has a meaning. It all makes sense, and you are finally being punished. You can't think of a time you have ever been happier. Your fiancé abruptly gets back into the car. Neither of the men seem to notice her. One opens the crate with a couple quick taps and pulls out of it an intricate, miniature house. The hours that must have been spent building it. Every detail is accounted for. Inside the house, you think. You see for a moment lights and movement. Undamaged, says the man who is not tall. You beam at him. The knife presses harder against your throat, but it doesn't hurt. Your eyes wander up, and you see above you the dark planet of awesome size, perched in its sunless void, an invisible titan, all thick black forests and jagged mountains and deep, turbulent oceans. A monster, spinning, soundless, forgotten. It's so close now. You see it just above you. Maybe even if you tried very hard, you could touch it. You reach up. This has been your story. The radio moves on to other things. News, traffic, political opinions, and corrections to political opinions. But there was time, one day, one single day, in which it was only one story. A story about you. And you were pleased because you always wanted to hear about yourself on the radio. Good night, Night Vale. Good night.
Hey, Jeffrey Crane. Vale, a novel. Two Women Follow the Cryptic Messages is an epic horror episodes with a list of great
dark setting. Listen to Lorehammer for free on Spotify.
Look to the obelisk. We don't know where it came from, but it's attracting a lot of cats. Welcome to Night Vale. Happy New Year, Night Vale! Last night's fireworks extravaganza at the Night Vale Harbor and Waterfront Recreation Area was beautiful. This is despite the fact that the Night Vale Harbor and Waterfront Recreation Area never really existed, and was in no way a multi-million-dollar failure of municipal planning. And just because the only things remaining on the premises are several large piles of rubble and a red sign reading, "Nothing is here, nothing was ever here," does not mean that they failed to correctly use tax dollars to build a harbor, a waterfront, or a recreation area. Anyway, the fireworks over the city-made sign were lovely. Happy 2013! Ladies and gentlemen, surely you have noticed there's a man in a tan jacket. Countless residents have seen him, but no one can seem to remember exactly what he looks like. Just that he has a tan jacket and a deerskin suitcase. And he has been spotted all over town. But no one can quite recall specifically where they saw him or what time of day it was. Just that they saw him. Frances Donaldson, the tall woman with the green eyes who manages the antiques mall, thinks maybe the man in the tan jacket is simply a shared dream. But I know I saw him, Night Vale. I know what I saw. This man couldn't possibly be a dream. He was so vivid. His eyes were... well, his nose and his chin. Oh, I can just see. I just can't remember. The man was clear as day. He had a tan jacket and a deerskin suitcase. He can't be a dream, can he? Please, call in, listeners, and let us know if you can remember anything else. This Monday through Friday is the annual Night Vale Career Fair at the Downtown Convention Center. There will be dozens of booths representing phony local businesses that will take your resumes and photos via hidden surveillance cameras and conduct sample interviews designed to badger you into implicating yourself in nefarious activities. First-generation Night Vale residents, particularly those whose parents were originally born in Maine, Massachusetts, Canada, Micronesia, and Suriname, are strongly encouraged to attend. This year's keynote speaker is an audio tape of droning moans leaden with subliminal tips about achieving personal prosperity and how to come clean about the terrible things you have done, you cretin. Last year's fair featured several very high-profile arrests and exciting door prizes. Tickets are $25, or $15 if you still have working retinas to scan. Over the weekend, Teddy Williams, owner of the Desert Flower Bowling Alley and Arcade Fun Complex, sent us some security camera footage of what he believes to be the first ever glimpse of citizens of the underground city deep below Lane 5. Early Saturday morning, Fun Complex cameras picked up blurry motion near the soda machine. The footage is quite fuzzy and difficult to discern. Perhaps it is merely rats or raccoons digging through an uncovered supply of junk food. But it is, of course, much more likely that a lost nation of people living in the bowels of a small town bowling alley are finally revealing themselves, taking our food supplies, and preparing for war. Teddy told us that he believes this city to be thousands strong and ready to move into Night Vale, ready to take arms against the upper world, as they probably call us. Ready to conquer this heaven and become the righteous owners of our sun-soaked precious land, we assume. It takes very little extrapolation to believe that they worship a god named Huntokar, who demands sacrifice to keep their underground city thriving in the absence of nourishing sunlight. And a fair assumption is that they are ruled by a child king, recently coronated, who is too weak to rein back the generals intent on marching upon us in war. Ladies and gentlemen, if you care for your community, your town, your Night Vale, like I do, you will arm yourselves. You will rally your neighbors to militia. You will point fingers at those who do not wish to fight and have them rounded up into pens. This is no time for the weak. We are at a presumptive war with a projected enemy whom we cannot yet see or even be certain of, but who are probably bloodthirsty giants. If you would like to learn more about starting a militia, simply learn to be a true American. That's how you'll know. And remember, Night Vale is at war. Your careless talk cost lives. They know we are here, and it seems somebody talked. Who was it, Night Vale? Was it Steve Carlsberg? Did Steve Carlsberg talk? Maybe a group of good citizens should go have a chat with Steve and find out what he's been saying, and to whom. Stay by your radios, listeners. We will report further as events warrant. More now on the man in the tan jacket. Old woman Josie called to tell us that her angel friends are saying that the deerskin suitcase is full of flies. The angels would not tell her more, explaining that knowing more would jeopardize her eternal soul, as well as their own statuses as angels. They did not want to mess with that. Old woman Josie added that she thinks the man in the tan jacket is just a salesman of some sort. A fly salesman, she bets, wandering from town to town with polished shoes and a suitcase full of flies. "Oh, I just can't stand those fly salesmen," she said, ringing my doorbell at 3 a.m., wanting to show me samples and asking for glasses of orange milk. The Night Vale Daily Journal has announced that, despite cost-cutting measures and mandatory subscription laws, it is facing a huge budget shortfall this year. "We cannot pay back our printers or our delivery crews," said editor Leanne Hart in a prepared statement whispered through my mail slot late last night. "And we have already had to banish much of our staff into the sand wastes of the desert." She went on to explain that this budget shortfall has nothing to do with the reported lavish birthday party she threw for herself in Night Vale Stadium, featuring a lazy river made entirely of champagne and a birthday cake topped with very thin slices of moon rock. In an addendum, she tapped in Morse code on my bathroom window. She said that the journal is considering all new sources of income, including creating additional advertising space and mugging Night Vale citizens, and that I shouldn't mention the whole birthday party thing after all, because She was never even born. So how could she have had a birthday party? She spent the rest of the night tapping out the phrase, "Birthdays are a fake idea," which actually was a pretty relaxing sound to fall asleep to. Hey, kids and parents! Time once again for our Children's Fun Fact Science Corner. Today, we are exploring common birds and their meanings. An eagle indicates that an important phone call is impending. A sparrow says that you should beware the sea and sell any stocks invested in food-based companies. A pigeon means that your mother has died, or that all is well. It's a bit uncertain. A hummingbird tells us that the physical constants of the universe are slowly degrading and may someday shift, invalidating the laws of physics and instantly wiping out the universe as we know it while simultaneously creating an entirely new universe in a single transcendent moment of genocide and genesis. As for hawks, well, no one knows what hawks mean, or if they are real. Have you ever even seen a hawk? Of course not. No one has. This has been our Children's Fun Fact Science Corner. And now a word from our sponsors. Today's program has been sponsored by the physical act of gulping. For thousands of years, gulping has been there for human beings when they needed an expressive gesture of the throat. Whether you want to indicate nervousness about an upcoming test or appointment, fear of the faceless old woman who lives secretly in your home, or just want to ingest milk faster than with regular swallowing, gulping is the way to go. Forget sweating, never mind shivering, sneezing? Ugh. When you think physical actions, think gulping. Gulp now and receive a complimentary prize package, which will be conveniently buried in an unmarked spot somewhere in the scrublands. Find it, and it's yours. Gulp. This just in. The Sheriff's Secret Police has just issued an important request related to our earlier story. They ask that all Night Vale citizens be on the lookout for a man in a tan jacket, carrying a deerskin suitcase. He is about 5 or 6 foot something, probably with hair and normal human features. He was last seen early this morning on the unlit, gravel-paved stretch of Oak Trail, near Larry Leroy's house, out on the edge of town. The man in the tan jacket was reportedly seen in the moonless black, standing next to a refrigerator engulfed in flames. He was smoking a cigarette. Witnesses claimed he stared at them as they slowly drove by on the darkened country road. But despite the prolonged eye contact, the witnesses still could not describe his face to police. 2 days prior, the man in the tan jacket was seen standing in a park. No one can remember which park, but they're fairly certain it was a park. Or maybe it was in the Old Navy outlet store or near the invisible clock tower. It wasn't quite clear. Either way, the man was definitely standing with his deerskin suitcase and staring up at the sun for hours. He followed the bizarre glowing orb, which is somehow the source of all light and life and, oh God, the sun! Are you kidding us with this thing? We don't even have time for that mystery. the secret police then interjected. Secret police officials added that if you see a man in a tan jacket carrying a deerskin suitcase, write down what you see immediately. The city council has temporarily lifted their ban on pens and pencils so that citizens can help law enforcement on this matter. Once you write down your encounter, call 911 immediately, or simply say, "Hey, police," out loud. We're all being monitored almost 24/7, so they'll probably hear you just fine. Let's go now to traffic. There is a car. It's not in Night Vale, or even in the desert that cradles our little town. It's out somewhere beyond that. There are many cars there, but I'm speaking only about one. Blue, squarish, with tires and windows and an engine that works most of the time. A woman is driving it, and she is also glancing whenever she can at the child in the passenger seat. He is a child, but he is 15. You understand. She is glancing at him, but she is not saying anything, and he is not saying anything either. She wants to cry. Or she wants to push him out of the car. Or she wants to go back in time and insist on using a condom. Only she would never do that. She wouldn't change any of this, really. Not for all the money, piles of money, some of it defunct money from defunct and absent governments. She wouldn't give any of this back. So she drives her car, blue, squarish, with tires and windows and an engine that works most of the time. And she glances at the 15-year-old child, and neither of them speaks. This has been traffic. And now, the weather. Ladies and gentlemen, during the break, I received a call from someone claiming to be an angel. Now, I don't know if this was a prank or not, as no one has ever actually proven that they've talked to an angel. Even old woman Josie's word is just that, her word. But listeners, I think this had to have been an angel because my face became hot and the voice filled every part of my body. and tears were flowing down my face the instant I touched the phone receiver, and the whole room was lit up in, well, how can I describe this? A bright black beam illuminating every atomic detail. And the angel, if that is indeed who called, the angel said that the man in the tan jacket with the deer-skin suitcase was from a place underneath the earth, underneath our knowledge, a vast world right below our feet. I asked for more, but the angel, if that is indeed who called, whispered only, a flower in the desert. And it filled me with ecstasy and dread. Then the call ended, and the black ray of truth was gone, and I was breathless and alone. And, dear listeners, the silence. Well, it was unlike any silence you have ever not heard. So our mystery man remains unfound, and I'm still not sure why an angel would have to use a telephone. But, for now, we can only know what we know. And that is that we don't know. Thank you again for listening, listeners. I look forward to another fine year, a new year, well spent with all of you out there. Stay tuned next for 2 commercial-free hours of E Sharp. Good night, Night Vale. Be alert and write down everything you cannot comprehend. Until next time.
Welcome to Night, the faceless volumes of scriptbook.com/books.
Universe, all while trying to provide a dark setting. Listen to Lorehammer for free on Spotify.
Bananas are hardly that slippery, but watch your step anyway. Welcome to Night Vale. Ladies, gentlemen, you. Today is street cleaning day. Please remain calm. Street cleaners will be upon us quite soon. We have little time to prepare. Please remain calm. The City Council has issued a statement in 20-point all caps type saying, "Run, run, forget your children and leave behind the weak. Run." We have contacted those experts who have not already gone underground or changed their identity, and have been told that street cleaners focus on heat and movement, and so the best strategy is to be dead already. Then the experts all swallowed pills and fell, mouths frothing at my feet. If you have doors, lock them. If you have windows, board them up. If you still have ears, cover them and crouch wherever you are. It is street cleaning day. Please remain calm. John Peters, you know, the farmer. He reports finding an old oak door standing unsupported by any other structure out in the scrubland. He says that he's sure it wasn't there yesterday, or pretty sure anyway, as sure as he can be since the accident. Apparently there is knocking from the door, as though there were someone from some other side that does not exist in our narrow, fragile reality trying to get in. He has added several deadbolts and chains to the door on both sides, unsure which direction the door opens, which is, by the way, a huge design flaw. One should always know which way a door opens, merely by looking at it, if the designer has done their job. And this holds true whether it's a bank of glass doors at the local mall, or an unspeakably old wooden door leading to other worlds than these. John, meanwhile, says he will keep a sleepless vigil upon the door, as any sleep merely leads to dreams of blurry shapes in the dim distance, advancing, hissing, upon this vulnerable planet. He also says the imaginary corn is coming in real good, and we should have a nice crop to choose from soon, especially now that it will be available for sale at the green market. The staff at Dark Owl Records announced today that they are only listening to, selling, and talking about Buddy Holly. If you want to buy music at all, you had better like Buddy Holly. If you dress like Buddy Holly, that's cool too. They also announced that Buddy Holly will be performing live there this Saturday night at 11 to promote his newest album, which is called I'm Trapped in Between Worlds, Existing Only in the Form That You Knew Me. This is not who I am. Leave me alone and just let me die, please. Organized crime is on the rise, Night Vale. The Sheriff's Secret Police and the Night Vale Council for Commerce are cracking down on illegal wheat and wheat byproduct speakeasies. 2 months ago, the City Council abolished forever all wheat and wheat byproducts. But a black market appears to have formed for those depraved addicts who can't get enough wheat, nor its byproducts. Big Rico's Pizza was cited this week for hosting an illegal wheat and wheat byproducts joint in a hidden basement space. Big Rico's, in light of the new laws, has had to alter its menu to mostly just bowls of stewed tomatoes, melted cheese wads, and gluten-free pizza slices. His storefront seemed to be the model of a wheat-free and wheat byproduct-free society. But even the most honest businesses can turn to crime when their livelihood is on the line. Fortunately for Big Rico, he is a very nice person and apologized to the city council in a way that did not include blackmail, or secret campaign contributions, or special favors. Big Rico is just truly sorry for what he has done. The Sheriff's Secret Police say they are upping their efforts to stop these illicit wheat and wheat byproduct manufacturers. They are mostly just sniffing in the air until they smell bread. It's pretty easy, actually, the sheriff said from his hover office in the clouds. More information now on Street Cleaning Day, which has come upon us just as we always feared it would. The information is that Street Cleaning Day is terrifying, and that we should all perhaps fall to our knees, letting out moans and rubbing our forearms absently. The City Council has issued a statement indicating that they forgot they had vacation plans this week, and so are currently on a plane to Miami, as they had been planning and looking forward to for some time. They said their vacation, since it was definitely planned, has a pre-established end date, but that they cannot tell anyone what that end date is until these street cleaners are completely gone. In the meantime, they are leaving Paul Birmingham in charge. Paul, the vagrant who lives in a lean-to behind the library, could not be reached for comment, as he has faked his own death in an elaborate scheme to escape street cleaning day unscathed. More, if there ever is more for any of us. And now a word from our sponsors. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Target. Target is a great place to shop, and they would like you to consider the variety of silence in this world. The deathly silence when an argument has reached a height from which neither party can see a safe way down, and the soft, wet silence of post-coital breath-catching. Silence in a courtroom, moments before a man's life is changed completely by something so insignificant as his past. And the silence of a hospital room, as a man, in front of everyone he loves, lets the heat from his clenched hands dissipate into the background hum of the universe. The quiet of outdoor distances, of wilderness, of the luxury of space, and the quiet of dead air on the radio. The sound of a mistake, of emphasis, of your own thoughts when you expected someone else's. Shop at Target. From time to time, listeners, I like to bring a little education to our show. Throw out some interesting facts or mind fuel. Today, I'd like to share some fascinating facts about clouds. Clouds are made up of... Rain clouds are formed when the density of the humid air, aka the cloud, becomes... That's when it rains. Lightning is... And it's important to... can kill you, or at least cause you a great deal of body-altering pain and regret. But take some time to stop and look at the clouds. They are beautiful, wondrous creations. Wait. I've just been handed a piece of red paper by one of the sheriff's secret police officers. I can tell that's what he was because of his short cape, blow-dart chest belt, and tight leather balaclava. Dear listeners, I've been told to inform you that you are to stop looking at the clouds immediately. Stop knowing about the clouds. Intern Stacy tells me in my headset here that they've also been censoring my broadcast. Well, I back our public protectors, and if they say to stop knowing about whatever it was I was talking about, then I'll stop knowing about it. Let's go now to the sounds of predatory birds. Sirens have been going off in central Night Vale as a warning about sirens going off in Old Town Night Vale. These sirens indicate that sirens might occur in the general Night Vale area over the next few hours, the which would be a declaration of a current siren watch. Please check that your siren preparedness kit is fully stocked and easily reachable. Lieutenant Regis of Unit 7 of the local National Guard station and KFC combo store said that It always seemed that the only way to live without regrets was just to never regret anything you did. And that seems to be the only hope for the future anyway. Regrets just bear us down. Regrets just bear us down. This wasn't related to today's Siren Watch. He said that a few years back, and it always just stuck with me. And now, traffic. Southbound HOV lanes of Route 800 near Exit 15 have large glowing arrows. Drive over the arrows and get a boost in speed. Save time and gas and get your high occupancy vehicle to work on time. There's a stalled car at the downtown off-ramp of Eastern Expressway. Tow trucks are on the scene to euthanize the vehicle and chase away scavenging vermin. There are several accidents to report. In fact, infinite accidents. Everything is an accident. Or at least, let us hope so. This has been Traffic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not possible for us to exactly do another news report on Street Cleaning Day, as no information can get through the barricades and seals that are keeping us safe within our broadcasting bunker. Instead, we offer the following impressionistic list of what we believe is happening outside our secure perimeter. Screaming. A slow movement downwards. The crunch of items made of wood and items not made of wood. A quick movement upwards. Char. A smell like rotting seaweed or a poisoned ocean. The song La Bamba, only faster. You know that feeling when you realize you're not alone? Only more so. Screaming. Screaming. Screaming, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. The street cleaners are upon us. What can we do? What is there to do? Besides, perhaps, taking you in a haze of terror and heat to the weather.
After one long season of waiting, after one long season of wanting, I am breaking open. My insides are pink and raw, and it hurts me when I move my jaw, but I am taking tiny steps forward. And I feel sure that my wounds will heal, and I will bloom here in my room with a little water and a little bit of sunlight and a little bit of tender mercy, tender mercy. Big trucks come up the highway, and the big wheels are out on my window. And night comes to Texas. After one blind season alone in here, after one long sweltering summer, I'm going to find the exit. And I go to the house of a friend I know, and I will let myself forget with a little water and a little bit of sunlight
We return you now to a safe place. The street cleaners have passed. Street cleaning day, as so many other days, is behind us. We emerge from hiding spots, from secret locations, from places under other places. We step out into the street, and it is as though it is brand new to us. Certainly, it is cleaner now, but that is not all. We have survived all the way from birth to this very moment, and we look at each other, and some of us start laughing, and others start weeping, and one or two of us break out into a wordless, humming song, and all of us mean the exact same thing. Look at us. Look at us out in the honey light of the finished day. Look at us and rejoice in our sheer being. One of us turns to another, clears his throat, and puts a gentle hand upon the other's gentle arm. "I've never told you this," that one says. "What is it, Wilson?" says the other. "Amber, you are all to me. Will you marry me?" "Wilson, we've spoken maybe twice. Do you think we could start with dinner instead?" "No, yes. No, you're right. I was confused," says the one, although he was not confused. "Think nothing of it. It's forgotten," says the other, although she thought many things of it, and had forgotten nothing. And then a gradual movement towards Mission Grove Park. No orders or even suggestions given, and yet we all file to that central meeting place, put our arms around each other, grip tight, and then grip tighter. Some of us are not here. We leave space for them, space that has been emptied by time. I suppose I should say a few words to mark the occasion, says one of us, tall, towards the front. He says nothing more. The city council arrives, back from their long-planned Miami vacation, nudging those near them and talking about silver sand beaches and the food. Oh, those Cubans know how to do it. Even they are accepted into the gathering, despite our usual fears, and we grip them too as friends. Night has arrived, ladies. Night is here, gentlemen. Night falls on our weary bodies. And night falls on you, too. You too have survived everything up to this moment. Grip tight, hum, laugh, cry. Forget nothing and think many things of it. Good night. Good night. Good night.